So back to the sky and texture brush, and I want a bit of sap green, a bit of lemon yellow, and a bit of cadmium yellow. Very soft green. And I don't want it too wet to start with. Because it's a large brush, it carries an awful lot of paint. So there we are, we'll just put that in quickly. Just quick brushes like that, look. Quick brush strokes. Starting with a light green. Then we'll add a bit of darker green, a bit of sap green, a bit of raw sienna. And we'll put a darker colour down here, look. And we'll come to the round brush. And we'll just use the side of the brush to brush that up like that. I'm just filling it in round these rocks that we have to put in next. I want a little bit of cadmium orange mixed with some cadmium yellow, and I'm just going to use the side of the brush, just put a bit of warmth in that grass there to balance the trees on the right hand side. What I can do, I can use my knuckle now and I can play a pitter-pat, look, and get some texture in there, but you've got to have an absorbent knuckle. So I'm just using my knuckle, look, like that, to get the effect of texture. Or the other thing you can do is to stretch a bit of tape across there, press it down while it's wet, and it lifts the paint, and you get some texture on your grass. There are so many different ways and techniques you can use. So we need to dry that now, then we're going to put in the rocks. We're going to put the rocks in now on the left hand side and in the water. And as normal, we're going to use a 3/4 flat, and I'm starting with a bit of raw sienna. Important I get the shapes right. So a rock coming out here, a little bit there. There's a big one down here. I always paint them with raw sienna to start with, till I get the shapes right. Right, now we'll go into some burnt sienna. The detail goes in later. And what we're going to do is roughen. All we're doing is still putting on the underpainting. Normally at home I look at a painting for a couple of weeks and I make various changes. Right, I think that's about the rocks on the left hand side. Right, a bit of purple now, the usual alizarin crimson and Payne's grey. I want some dark in here before I move it around with the knife. It's to the knife now then, and we'll move the paint around. A few rocks in the water to do. Some small ones there. Big one down the bottom here. It's your painting, of course. You can put as many rocks in as you like. Just push the paint around. So we've just done the foundation. What we're going to do now, I'm going to put the water in. So using the Hague brush and some cobalt blue, I'm going to brush over the masking fluid. Although this is a large brush, you can do very delicate work with it. And as you can see, I'm a very delicate chap. Bit darker blue, touch of red. As I go forward, I want it darker. I'm just going to add a little bit of green to the blue, a bit of sap green in the foreground. Don't want it all the same blue. Now we need to dry that, and then we're going to take the masking fluid off. Using my finger, I'm going to remove the masking fluid. So I'm just rubbing it off, and this will give an impression of white water. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to bring the rocks to life. I'm using the rigger brush, and I want a dark brown. Where I've created the rocks, the cracks in the rocks with the knife, I'm emphasising them. Now using a little bit of acrylic white, mixed with a bit of raw sienna, I'm going to add some highlights on the tops of the rocks. Put a few darker bits in between the light bits. And don't forget the shadow underneath the rocks. Just have a little wiggle with the rigger. So that's how you do the rocks. We're going to continue to finish the rest of the rocks using the same techniques. So we've completed the rocks in the water. We're going to work on the rocks on the right hand side now, the main cliff, because there'll be shadows underneath. The cliff isn't flat. So we need to put some shadow to give it a three-dimensional effect. And all we're going to do is to use a large rigger with a mixture of alizarin crimson and Payne's grey. And we're going to work around here, look, and just dab it on like that. And then we're going to push it around. But it's important to get this effect of depth in the rocks. Another time-consuming technique, but very important. So I'm going to show you how to do a few of these, and then I'm going to finish it off so you're not too bored. All you need to know is what techniques to use, so when you're painting it yourself, you know exactly how it's done. So I'm just pushing it around there, and that gives a bit of depth. Now I'm going to continue doing the rest of them, and then we'll have a look at what I've done at the end. So there we are, we've added more depth to the rocks. What I want to show you now, I'm going to work all around the painting and make some improvements here and there to bring the painting together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of purple, and I'm going to just put a bit across some of these rocks. Just here and there. Very weak washes, just to give it a bit of colour, because the rocks will be all colours. And I'm going to use a bit of raw sienna. Very weak washes these are. Bit of raw sienna in the rocks where the sun is hitting them. I'm going to just put a burnt sienna wash over some of these rocks. It just warms the rocks up a little bit. Just very quick twitches with the brush. And again, I'll do the same down here, I think. And there'll be some grass growing between these rocks. So we'll have a little bit of green, sap green with cadmium yellow. And there'll be bits of green here between these rocks where odd shrubs are growing. I'm going to warm this grass over on this side with a bit of raw sienna glaze. I'm going to just go down here with a bit of raw sienna. I'm using a bit of lemon yellow mixed with the green I've already got mixed on the palette. I'm going to put a bit of sparkle on there. Using the rigger brush, I'm going to give more definition to the edge of the water. So around here, the bank here, a bit more definition there. Payne's grey and a bit of red I'm using. Same around here. The water's flowing between the rocks. I want some shadow under the rocks, so I'm just going to wiggle bits under there. The rocks mustn't look as if they're floating on top of the water, so I'm just using the rigger, putting some shadow under there like that. So all these little things make the picture. The water's flowing between these rocks here, so I'm just signifying that look by showing the flow of water. I'm building up some shadow around the bank area, get some depth to the water. A bit of dark in the water here and there, particularly in the foreground. And I want a bit of structure in those trees. So with a bit of white, I'm going to just put an impression of some tree structures there. All these little details are what make the painting. Same over here. The only thing I have to do now is add some depth to those trees. We'll do that by using one of the shadow colours. Remember what I said, 20% of any colour on your palette with 80% Payne's Grey will give you a shadow colour. Never use black for shadows. So I'm just adding some depth here by wiggling some colour on there, look. We'll wiggle a bit in there like that. Just putting it on. That's given that a bit of depth up there. A few strokes on this side, a bit of dark there, look. A bit of depth in here. Soften the brush marks, and I think we'll call that a finished sketch. Let's have a recap on what we did. We put the sky in first. Sky was painted wet in wet. We put a little bit of light to take your eye through the gorge into the distance, and then we put the blue in. And don't forget, you must put the blue in before the underpainting is more than 1/3 dry. We then used a large brush and we painted the background trees dark rather than light. And then what we did was we put a little bit of acrylic white mixed with the traditional watercolour to get the highlights on the foliage. The rocks were painted by simply putting in a variety of colours, and with the wonder knife, when it was about 1/3 dry, we just moved the paint around just like you put your bread on a morning. The rocks, we painted those again, raw sienna under base, burnt sienna over the top, then a mixture of purple, Payne's Grey and red again, and then I put some highlights on, having pushed the paint around with a wonder knife, with a little bit of acrylic white and a bit of raw sienna. The water was done quite simply by removing the masking fluid to get the effect of the white water running down the gorge. Don't forget, painting is not a gift. It's not inspiration, it's perspiration, lots of practice. Whatever you do in life, you've got to work at it. Winners never quit, and quitters never win. You can do it if you really want to. Happy painting.
Now available to buy. Try these techniques at home whenever you wish. The extended DVD of today's workshop is now available from the Painting and Drawing channel. For further information and to order your copy, go to www.paintingdrawingchannel.com.